The Mustang is more than just a car. It's a living legend. It has come to represent the American ideals of personal freedom, integrity, and strength.
It's just an American icon.
It's kind of like baseball. It's kind of like apple pie.
Fasten your seatbelts for the ride of a lifetime with 300 Mustang fanatics as they race across America to Nashville. And watch some of the world's fastest Mustangs as they hurtle around the famous Superspeedway track. The Mustang has ruled the highways for 40 years. The unbridled energy and power of this all-American muscle machine has captured the hearts of millions of people.
Being a patriotic American, this is my car. It symbolizes for me what I love about my country.
To celebrate the Mustang's 40th anniversary, a group of 300 cars of all ages are going to attempt a staggering drive of nearly 2,000 miles across 7 states in just 5 days. Their destination, Nashville, Tennessee, and the biggest Mustang party on the planet. It will be a real challenge for man and machine. The rally has attracted people from as far away as New Zealand, all keen to be a part of this extraordinary piece of Mustang history. Some have come for the love of the car, some for the camaraderie, and some to revel in the wonders of the American countryside. But for all, the highlight of the whole experience will be the exhilarating race at Nashville's famous speedway. The race will bring together some of the world's greatest Mustangs and drivers as they push their machines and themselves to the limit.
The way it feels when I'm on the track behind the wheel of the Mustang is absolutely awesome.
But before anyone gets a chance to race on the track, there's a race against time, as the Mustangs have only 5 days to drive 2/3 of the way across America. It's going to be a close-run thing. The man responsible for getting everyone to Nashville on time is Sam Haymart, the president of Mustangs Across America.
Mustangs Across America started back in 1993, actually. We were preparing for the 30th anniversary of the Mustang. I started thinking about it and realizing, I really love road trips. I love Mustangs. I'd like to drive my own Mustang across the United States. It really blossomed into something that was well beyond what we had expected.
Over 100 people joined Sam on that first drive. Now, 10 years later, twice as many are coming along for the ride.
Hey, all right, here we are. This is it, man. This is it. 10 years later, look at this.
LA District Attorney Tony Souza is one of the original members of Mustangs Across America. A lifelong Mustang fanatic, it was love at first sight when he saw a Shelby GT350, the thoroughbred of Mustangs.
The car that made me fall in love with the Mustang was the GT350. There was something really visceral and exciting about hearing the sound of that side exhaust coming out from underneath the car, seeing the fastback with the white paint job and the big 2 blue stripes. When you saw that car, it just got your blood stirring.
The Shelby GT350 was a more powerful version of the original factory Mustang, and it epitomized the unbridled energy and raw power reflected in the famous logo of the galloping horse.
When the Mustang was first designed by the Mustang design team, some of the people that had come up with the name Mustang really intended to pay tribute to the P-51 Mustang fighter plane that was used in World War II. But Lee Iacocca, who's acknowledged as the father of the Mustang, felt that this car and the spirit behind the car was really symbolic of the wild and free galloping nature of the Mustang horse of the American West.
It is this free spirit and beauty of the car that has united this group of Mustang lovers and inspired them to take this momentous journey. For Sam, it's also carrying on a family tradition of passing on his passion for road trips and the Mustang to his 9-year-old son, Sydney.
Okay.
Okay.
My father was a truck driver. I spent many summers out on the road crossing America with him, and at the time I don't know that I was that excited, but I look back on it now and it's something that it's that fuel that makes me want to go do it again. And so I'm hoping that even though he may sit in this car for 8 hours a day and wonder where his Game Boy is, that when he grows up he'll look back on the time and remember it as a positive growing up point in his life.
It's the night before the big drive, and the excitement is beginning to mount.
I think what symbolizes Mustangs across America and why people are joining in this rally is because it's a chance to drive your Mustang in a great adventure that you're sharing with a group of fellow Mustang owners. There's a sense of freedom, sense of camaraderie, and shared enthusiasm is just a wonderful spirit.
The magic of the Mustang attracts a huge variety of people, but they all have one thing in common: their obsession for the pony car.
It's so much fun being here with all these people who love Mustangs too.
The hoofbeat beats out the heartbeat.
The adrenaline I get from driving it, it's a rush. It's like, it's what I need. It's heaven. I love it.
I just can't stop thinking about it. I just can't get it out of my mind. I'm just itching to go.
It's 7 a.m. on the first day of the rally, and everyone is eager to hit the highway. But before they can take off, Sam has a few words of advice for our warriors of the road.
Our schedule today, basically at 8 o'clock, I'm going to roll out of here. CB Channel 3, we want to turn our headlights on when we're driving. It lets everybody know we're a convoy, and it's all about having a good time. And you know, there's a lot of scenery out there, a lot of good things. It's mountains from pretty much here till we get to Flagstaff.
Another 4 or 5 cups of coffee, we'll be good to go.
The waiting over, the pack of Mustangs finally hit the road. Los Angeles is soon a distant memory as the drivers put pedal to the metal and head out on the open road.
It feels pretty good out here, especially when you can put your foot in it and go. Open it up a little bit. Feel the wind in your hair. Just something about it gets your nerves firing. You know, this car has got a supercharger on it, and so one of the things that really does for the sound, it gives the engine a very highly machined, high-pitched whine to it. Sound of the air rushing through the engine, it's something you don't hear very often, and that whine that you get out of the engine when you're flooring it. You know, out here on the open road, this is scenery that I don't see very often. It's not the same old thing. A lot of these scenes we're driving through are right out of a postcard, and it's just like getting to read sort of a travel book, only you're driving through it. You know, there's just not much to think about other than taking a look out there at this grandeur and taking it all in. And enjoying the Mustang while I'm at it.
The rally has united Mustangs of all ages. But each driver has their own favorite decade. Although Tony had to leave his beloved 1960s Mustang at home and drive a modern car, his heart belongs to the 60s models. They were the first off the production line, and for Tony, still the best.
I came of age in the 60s. I'm a child of the 60s. I think the 60s for me was really what America was all about. It was the age when America truly became, I think, aware of its status as a world power and a sense that nothing could go wrong until Vietnam came along. But I think when President Kennedy became president and the challenges were about being the first to go to the moon, the whole country, I think, was optimistic.
The Mustang captured this unbridled spirit and optimism of America in the 60s.
There were people that were yearning for a sporty, not a sports, car, a car that was fun to drive, a car that looked cool, a car that was affordable. And the Mustang was all of that. It was a car that people just fell in love with and are still in love with to this day.
The Mustang was first unveiled on the 17th of April 1964, and it took the country by storm. The combination of speed and great styling was irresistible for a nation craving excitement and adventure. It prompted a buying frenzy that caught Ford totally unawares. Over 22,000 orders were placed on the first day of production. It was an affordable sports car for the road and instantly became a runaway success with America's youth. It didn't take long before the Mustang established itself as a timeless classic and a cultural icon. As the Mustangs head east, the landscape becomes more desolate and barren. The pack thunders across the Great Basin, through the Mojave Desert, and into Arizona. After 9 grueling hours and over 400 miles on the road, the first stop is finally in sight.
We're about 10 minutes away from Flagstaff. 3 hours ago, we were in Needles, California, which is a barren desert. Now, we're up in the mountains and there's snow on those mountains over there, and there's big tall pine trees in front of us. And that's just in a 3-hour drive.
Flagstaff sits at the base of the San Francisco Peaks in an area known as the High Desert. At 7,000 feet, it is one of the highest cities in the U.S. After a long day behind the wheel, everyone is exhausted and in need of a rest. But before the drivers can relax, the cars have to be made ready for the next day's drive. It gives the drivers a chance to swap road stories and indulge their shared passion for the Mustang. So far, no one has had to drop out, but the unrelenting pace of the road is beginning to take its toll on drivers and cars, particularly the older models. It's day 2 on the Mustangs Across America rally to Nashville, Tennessee. Over 100 Mustangs are speeding across the heartland of the country on Interstate 40. Yesterday, they drove from LA to Flagstaff, and today they have another 442 miles on the road to get to Santa Rosa, New Mexico. This is the longest and toughest day of the whole adventure. And for one Mustang, the day has started very badly. Linda Butson is from Salinas, California. She's one of the few women in the group driving the whole distance. Keeping her company is her friend Mark Ostiak. They are doing the trip in Linda's much-loved 1966 Fastback. Unfortunately, the high altitude and thin air of Flagstaff is causing problems for the classic car.
We're done for a minute.
If she can't get the car started, her dream of taking the 5-day trek across the country will be over on day 2.
So, of course, I was a little nervous because you don't want the car to not turn on the second day of the ride. But what happened then is that Mark took the air cleaner cover off and he opened up the butterfly valve, which allowed air into the carburetor, and the car started right up.
A relieved Linda sets off to catch up with the rest of the pack.
I love the feel of the tires on the road. I love being able to look out and see the beautiful scenery that is on this I-40, this interstate across the United States.
Along the way, Linda and the other Mustangs pass some of the country's most breathtaking vistas. As they head towards Santa Rosa, the wonders of the petrified forest and the arid hills of the Painted Desert lie in wait. Driving across America in her Mustang is a dream come true for Linda. Her passion for the pony car started when she was still a teenager.
I'm not sure if my love of Mustangs started because of the car or because of the guy who was driving the car. But it was back in high school when I first fell in love with Mustangs. My very first Mustang I got in 1983. I was in the Air Force stationed in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I bought a white 1966 Fastback, just like this one, but it had power steering, and that was the first one that I got.
No one ever forgets their first Mustang, but sadly, Linda had to part with hers when she separated from her husband.
Yeah, I lost it in the divorce. But that's been 20 years ago, and this car has so much more special meaning to me now anyway. Let's see what they have over here.
For Linda, her car is much more than just a mode of transport. It has a character all of its own.
My car has a very big personality. It's a he. He doesn't have a name, but it's definitely a he. He loves to run fast, and he takes very good care of me wherever I go.
Well, when it decides to start. With a huge variety of cars in the pack, you can tell a lot about the person by the kind of Mustang they drive.
Maybe it does say something about my personality. I can be a little bold, I can be a little assertive, but I'm also very dependable. I don't know, maybe that's my car too.
The loud and fast 60s Mustangs, like Linda's, defined a vibrant and liberated generation. But with each different decade came a new band of Mustang fanatics. Richard Liverani, known as Big Daddy to his Mustang buddies, is a correctional lieutenant at Nevada's only maximum security prison and has been restoring his 1970 Mustang specially for this rally.
Well, you know, the reason I like the 1970 models is the front end. You know, it's got a long nose on it, and it cuts out real nice. They moved the headlights from the outside of the grill to the inside, and it's just got a nicer look about it. I think it's probably one of the best looking Mustangs they ever made. I grew up in the 70s. I grew up around these cars all the time. I mean, they were just a commonplace car back when I was growing up, and I've always wanted one. So that's just, you know, it's been a dream since I was a little kid.
The 70s Mustang is more than just a car for Big Daddy. It's a symbol of America.
It's just an American icon, you know. It represents the best of everything here, you know. It's a sports car, it's a muscle car, it's a sexy car. It's just got those lines that just make it just so smooth and so sleek. And when it's sitting still, it looks like it's going fast.
Big Daddy's car was one of the last of the original big muscle cars. The gasoline crisis of the 70s and a growing awareness of safety and environmental issues took its toll on the Mustang. It moved away from the classical racing car image and became a more economical breed. For a while, America's wild pony car was tamed. But for Big Daddy and the rest of the pack, its rebel spirit lives on and drives them onwards across Arizona and into the sleepy town of Santa Rosa, New Mexico. After her car refused to start this morning, it's a relief for Linda to have made it at all.
We did 442 miles today, and I'm feeling like I drove 442 miles in an old car. It was just a beautiful, beautiful day, but I'm very, very happy that we're here in Santa Rosa.
But the heat is now on. There are still 3 days driving and over 1,000 miles to go before the Mustangs get to Nashville. It's dawn on the third day of the Mustangs Across America drive to Nashville, Tennessee. Today, the Mustangs must cross 3 states and cover a distance of over 400 miles before they reach Mustang, Oklahoma. Sam Bailey and Chester Spink are preparing themselves for a long day behind the wheel. Sam has driven his 1966 convertible and trailer almost 2,000 miles from Vancouver Island to join the convoy of Mustangs.
Drove down here from Vancouver Island, got the little trailer all along behind us, and gives us a good opportunity to have a bit of independence. We can stop when we want, where we want pretty well. We do our own meals in the trailer.
My role with Sam is to look after him. I'm his chaperone. I'm really his, he's supposed to be his navigator, but he doesn't take a bit of notice of what I say, but I do try. Before I met Sam, I thought Mustangs were the best car made by Chevrolet. So he put me right on that.
Sam and Chester have left their wives at home in Vancouver and have to fend for themselves on the road. Luckily, they make a good team.
I've lived pretty well all my life on Vancouver Island, but I love traveling and seeing other parts of North America, other parts of the world for that matter. I had a career as an automotive mechanic, and 17 years ago, that's where I met Chester actually. I went to Indonesia, ended up going to Borneo to teach mechanics there.
On the way over there, I started to give him a few tips. He wanted to learn the language quick. So all the way over to Hong Kong, he's sitting there saying, "Good evening, how are you?" in Indonesian, which was the way I was teaching him, but siapa kuntut. So when we get to Indonesia, he says, "Good evening, how are you?" to an Indonesian, and they went, "Oh!" It meant who farted. so we got off on the right track from then on.
The convoy of Mustangs from 30 different states are traveling east on Interstate 40, which traces the footsteps of the old Route 66.
I love Route 66. I'm a member of the Canadian Route 66 Association. It's a pretty important part of American history, of course, as far as people being able to travel from the west to the east and vice versa, but it's also an extremely important part of automobile history.
Known as the Mother Road or the Main Street of America, Route 66 was the major artery across the country, linking Chicago to Los Angeles. For many, it was the road to opportunity.
I think a history of America from the time the 13 colonies started was expansion and westward movement. And I think that pioneering spirit of adventure is what has become a part of the national psyche. And that's a heritage and part of Route 66. It's the highway that people use to move out west. A lot of the people in the Depression from Oklahoma and states around it used Route 66 to try and come out to California and the far west. So it's a pretty famous highway. John Steinbeck wrote about it.
Route 66 supported many small towns, bringing money and people to help their economy. By the 1970s, the majority of the route had been superseded by 4-lane highways. The road is now slowly disappearing, but the Mustang drivers can still see the remnants of what was once America's most significant highway. But for the towns that had once depended on it, the demise of Route 66 was catastrophic.
In some areas, it's been a tragedy. Whole towns ceased to exist because they were dependent upon interstate commerce and travelers and truckers stopping to eat and rest and relax and stay overnight. And when the interstate system came in and bypassed them, the towns just pretty much died up.
For Sam, showing Sydney this important part of American culture was one of the main reasons he brought him along for the ride.
Sydney's enjoying the trip pretty well. For a 9-year-old, he's traveling very well. My wife and I debated about it quite a bit, about, should we take him out of school, leave him in school, and finally realized that, how often am I going to be able to take my son on a 5-day road trip across the country?
Sydney is the youngest Mustang addict on the rally, but the Mustang spirit is about being young at heart. Bringing up the rear of the convoy are Walter and Lorraine Welsh in a 1965 hardtop. At 81 and 80, they are the oldest people on the trip. Walter bought his Mustang in 1968, and it has been the family car ever since.
In 1968, first of all, I saw one like this in a Ford dealership. I borrowed it and brought it home to show the wife, and she wouldn't have anything to do with it. So, took it back, went down a couple days later, it was gone. So then I started looking in the paper. I found this baby in the paper from a private party, and finally she agreed to buy it, and we bought it for $1,700, I think.
It's Walter's pet. It's his car only. I used to drive it years ago, but not now. It doesn't have power steering.
Well, it was our family car. We had 4 kids when we bought it.
We used to go on vacations and take the 4 children in the Mustang.
Had to put a box on top.
For Sam and Chester, the trip is going well. After a quick fuel stop, they're back on the road with their destination in sight and in fine voice.
We're on the road again, can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, can't wait to get on the road again. With our apologies to Willie Nelson.
And Horatio.
And Horatio.
Oh, when we pull into town at the end of our drive, I have to slave away in the galley there and, bash up some dinner. I read a book and Sam turns his light out and goes to bed. So about 2 hours later, I get to sleep, but he's got a snore like a Sherman tank. No, he hasn't. No, our little home is a little bit cramped, but you don't need anything bigger than that for sure. Yeah, it works out very nice. Yeah, Sam said he would do the cooking tonight, and I said, well, that's great. And I looked down here, and it says we're being hosted for dinner.
The convoy finally arrives at its rest stop for the night, the aptly named Mustang, Oklahoma, where the residents throw a party to welcome Ford's famous filly.
This is the most appropriate time that I can ever think of to give greetings from the city. Welcome to Mustang. When I kissed you by the mill, I smelled powder and I heard the guns. I've seen the elephant and seen the flood. I've never laid eyes on our baby son.
going very well. Tomorrow, I think we're probably going to gather about another 80 or 90 cars to add to what we already have. So it's almost going to be like starting anew tomorrow, because we're going to have a whole new crowd that's the same size as the one we rolled in here with. So it's probably going to open a whole new chapter of adventures.
Sam has spent the last 5 months planning this journey. To finally see his vision realized is an overwhelming feeling.
It's pretty exciting right now. I'm just, I don't want to say wiped out, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the burn, but I'm feeling the excitement at the same time.
Wow, I can't believe I see all these Mustangs, and I'm waiting to see a very cool Mustang, and then once I find the coolest one, I'll tell the person who drives it, and then they'd probably feel well too.
Camping in Mustang, inner Mustang. I mean, who could ask for anything more? That'd be a good name for a song.
I was told never to speak with my mouth full.
Hey, keep your mouth full.
As the sun goes down, everyone is keen to relax and prepare themselves for tomorrow's epic drive to Little Rock, Arkansas. Day 4 on the Mustangs Across America trip to Nashville has brought trouble for the trip's oldest driver, Walter Welsh. The pack are about to leave on the 350-mile drive to Little Rock, Arkansas. But last night, Walter had an accident that could bring his trip to an abrupt end.
Well, we got lost last night coming from the big party over there. The wife said, turn in the gas station, or turn here. I didn't know what to do.
In the dark, desperate to find his way back to the rest of the group, Walter ran the car over a curb, bursting his tires and doing serious damage to the rims.
Didn't see it. With the two wheels. It went pop, pop, pop both tires.
Fortunately for Walter, his fellow Mustangers came to his rescue.
Just so remember, I don't have a spare now, guys. Somebody picked me up on the road.
We got spares.
Larry Jewell and Rick Briggs have used their own spare tires to replace Walter's flat ones and get him back on the road.
Well, I hope I'll be back on the road today. The wife was ready to cancel and said we're going to be here another night. So I don't know. I said, hold off. All right. Okay, well, things are looking up. I hope to see you on the road.
Just somebody
okay.
remember that.
He does.
Yeah, just remember.
The key to the Mustang survival is that it appeals to all generations. U.S. Marine Sergeant Justin Furore is currently posted in South Korea, but he has taken 30 days leave to come on the Mustangs Across America rally with some high school friends.
My love for Mustangs started with my uncle. When I was a little kid, he had an old Mach 1, beautiful black, big chrome rims, and from there I just was in awe. So I knew from then I wanted to grow up and have a Mustang, and this is actually my second one. I'm a Marine security guard. I've been in the Marines for about 5.5 years. I protect the American embassies around the world. Currently, I'm in Seoul, Korea. Basically, I'm there to guard the embassy from attacks. The world's kind of crazy right now, and I'm just out there doing my job.
Justin's Mustang has been customized by the specialist company Roush. It is one of the most powerful Mustangs on the road.
For me, it's relaxing. I can just put it on cruise control and just take off, go wherever I want to. There's not really any rules. I just do whatever I want to, driving across the country. I pretty much always wanted to do a road trip. Driving across the states with your buddies has probably got to be one of the funnest things you can do. It's a great experience and pick up a lot of things on the way and have a lot of fun. I think the Mustang was an icon basically because when it was made, it was the first sports family car, but it's a muscle car, it's like the apple pie. It's like baseball. It's the Mustang. Everybody knows. You go across the world, and everybody still knows what a Mustang is.
For Justin, the Mustang is in a league of its own.
I love driving fast, especially when you got a car like this with so much power. You're driving around town or whatnot, someone's gonna come up to you, they're gonna rev their engine. And as soon as you hear those RPMs go up, you know something's gonna happen. Just hit those gears, accelerate as fast as you can. It's great, it's a great feeling. Throw your head back into the headrest. You know, you get sucked into the seats. You know, every day you get on the Mustang, you're gonna have fun.
There was a time when few cars could keep up with the rebel of the road. The only car that could catch a Mustang was a Mustang. Tony Sharp works for the Texas Highway Patrol and has a passion for restoring the old State Trooper Mustangs from the 1980s.
The public always loved these cars. They never got to see one up close and personal. The only time they ever saw one is when it was sitting on the side of the road running radar, or whenever they're getting pulled over and see it in the rearview mirror. Yeah, this car gets a big reaction on the highway. You know, they always think it's still in service. Usually find most drivers are pretty courteous when I'm driving this car. Like right now, I've got a semi just staying right here. He's afraid to pass, even though I'm not in Texas. We're doing the speed limit. He wants to pass me, but he doesn't know whether he should or not.
These 1980s models bring fond memories flooding back for Tony.
A lot of my friends tell me I'm still in the 80s. Yeah, I love the cars from back then, and that's when my wife and I met. I graduated high school. Back home in Houston, I just listened to the 80s station. And I've probably got about 100 to 150 80s era CDs. I'm still living back in the 80s, it seems at times. A lot of people give me a hard time about that. This is an 88 model. These Fox bodies really do sum up the spirit of the 80s.
The 1980s ushered forward a new Mustang to rekindle the excitement of the 60s cars. With Vietnam and the fuel crisis of the 70s behind them, the 80s brought a renewed spirit of power and strength. The Fox body catered for a generation who wanted more bang for the buck. These third-generation Mustangs recaptured the car's legendary spirit and became bigger and faster. Every Mustang triggers its own special memories for the person behind the wheel. For Linda Butson, her 66 Fastback is a strong reminder of a lost love.
His name was Rich Talent. We used to date, and I called him Mr. Cricket. And then we kind of morphed that into Jiminy, and he passed away in 2002. And so the plates on my car, which are Jiminy, are a tribute to him. And they're on the commemorative plates for 911, and it says, "We will never forget." And I will never forget Rich, ever.
The pack of Mustangs has been growing daily. Now, the line of over 200 Mustangs snakes back over 3 miles. As they roll into Little Rock, Arkansas at the end of the penultimate day, everyone's thoughts are turning to their final destination.
Today we're at the end of day 4. We're in Little Rock, Arkansas, and we have driven, well, my car has driven more than 2,000 miles. 2,000 miles is a lot of miles for my car. But this is the last night on our trip, and then tomorrow we drive into Nashville.
It's the final day of this momentous journey across the country. Everyone is now anxious to get to Nashville and the anniversary celebrations. Strong friendships and bonds have been made over the last few days on the road. People of all ages have been united by their passion for the Mustang. Mike and Joyce Epperson are from Salt Lake City. For them, the Mustang is much more than just a car. It has played a huge part in the life of their family.
Mike and I first have liked Mustangs ever since we were kids. We got married or we bought really an old broken down one, mostly because we were so poor. Mike started working on it and over a couple of years had it back to looking brand new, and so there was the passion in us started.
What started as a hobby soon became a small but thriving business. They would buy old wrecks and lovingly restore them to sell.
Mustangs helped put Joyce through college. It helped her get her nursing degree, and so by buying and selling and trading a number of the Mustangs that we had at the time, there were a lot of cars that we wish we could have held on to, but at the time our priorities were to help Joyce get her education, get her through school.
Since then, we've been collecting Mustangs, and now between Mike and I, we have 12, and our children have 6 more. So we house and feed and maintain 18. Yeah, the trips always bring us together. We enjoy spending time. We get to let go of all the problems of home and work and just enjoy each other more.
Mike and Joyce are traveling with their 23-year-old son, Mike Jr. He's driving a '66 hardtop, which he faithfully restored at the age of 14 with the help of his father.
When Michael was in junior high, Joyce and I were a bit concerned about where he was going, what he was going to do, and what type of kid he was going to turn out to be. My wife and I decided it'd be nice to get Michael involved with Mustangs, and so we picked out a 1966 Mustang that was basically a shell, and we told him that it would be his car. All of a sudden he starts getting excited and focusing.
I was only 14 at the time, and I needed a little bit more of a focus in my life because, you know, things were kind of going astray, and so a good project undertaking was the perfect way. And I started on this and kind of built it as I wanted it, as I saw fit.
And he would work, save his money, and apply it towards the car. During that time, his grades started coming up. By the time that he and I put the finishing touches on the car, which was his senior year, he took it to his senior prom, he graduated with honors. So that car's worth $1 million to us.
What I am most fond of is remembering watching them as father and son spending weekends going to the junkyards to look for parts, and all the weekends and evenings in the garage working together and planning that car, and the bonding that they had working on that car.
The long days on the road have given Mike and Joyce a chance to spend time as a family. But finally, the end is in sight. Just a few more miles, and they will be rolling into Nashville.
Mustang 1, we are now pulling off the freeway. 5 days later from California, we're here. We are in Nashville.
After 5 days, 7 states, and almost 2,000 miles on the road, a pack of over 300 Mustangs roll into Nashville, Tennessee, the country music capital of the world.
We just arrived in Nashville. We made it. 2,442 miles. We finally made it. I feel very, 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 very happy that we're here. It's fabulous. The sun is shining and the grass is green here. It's a beautiful city, and it's been a wonderful trip.
For this weekend only, the city is to play host to the biggest Mustang extravaganza in the world. The pack of cars that have driven from Los Angeles to Nashville over the last 5 days are joined by thousands of Mustangs as Mustang Mania takes over the city. People from all over the world have brought their prized possessions to see and be seen in the city that has been transformed into Mustangville.
As you can see by the event, it's the 40th anniversary. It's a very big deal. It's a big celebration. It's interesting to be part of this. This is one of 5 cars that I own. This car has 168,000 miles. It's original paint, and it's just pride and joy.
Every make and model of Mustang ever made is here at this giant car show. But this is just the beginning. Tomorrow, the celebrations go up a gear at Nashville's Superspeedway. The next morning, the pack of Mustangs congregate for one last drive. With Sam leading the pack in Mustang 1, they parade triumphantly to their final goal, Nashville Superspeedway and the anniversary celebrations. 120,000 people and over 3,500 cars have come together to celebrate 40 glorious years of the Ford Mustang.
I think this is Woodstock for the Mustangs. Where I am right now, you see cars as far as the eye can see, and this is only a small fraction of this show. There's race cars out there on the racetrack, and we've got bands going to play here shortly. It's just a big, huge, huge party. The moment that everyone has been waiting for has finally arrived. Some of the fastest Mustangs in the world and the most skilled drivers are about to battle it out on the racetrack. One of the daredevils racing today is Mark Wilson. Not only has Mark been a Mustang fanatic for over 20 years, but he also works for Ford Motor Cars in the Team Mustang department.
All parts of my life involve Mustangs. My daughter, I'm happy to say her name is Shelby, named after Carol Shelby. And you know, working for Ford, working on Mustangs. When I get off of work, I race Mustangs.
It was the powerful cars of the 90s that inspired Mark to take to the track.
In the early 90s, it was just raw power. They almost say it's boy racer power because the cars were really raw. In '94, they took a lot of the rawness out of the car, gave it a softer suspension, more compliant suspension. Then, towards the late 90s, the Mustang really went through a technological revolution because it went to a double overhead cam engine. We had the Cobra model with the modular motor. The car really came of age, and it's just gotten stronger every year.
Mark's car is a very rare limited edition 93 Cobra racing model. But at 140 miles an hour, if anything goes wrong, there's more at stake than just a valuable car.
People say I'm crazy for racing it, but I personally believe the cars are built to be raced. And half the fun of racing it is hearing people say, I can't believe you're racing it, and the other half is hearing people say, when do I get a ride?
Within seconds of the start, Mark is in trouble. There is a problem with his brakes. One wrong move on the bends could send him careering off the track. But the fighting spirit of the Mustang pulls him through, and he manages to complete the race in one piece. For Mark, it's all in a day's work.
The race was great. We had a few problems with the car, but overall, it was a great time. Had a little problem with the brakes, so going into turn 1 was always exciting every lap, but we made it through it, and it's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I'll never forget it.
With the celebrations drawing to a close, it is time for people to say goodbye and think about the journey home.
Glad you made it.
Yeah, I was looking for you earlier.
Well,
If it hadn't been for Larry Jewell, Walter would still be stranded in Oklahoma after his accident and would never have made it to Nashville.
We've got some new bonds, and like Larry. I'll never forget Larry.
Well, Chester,
Well,
we're
sir,
here.
We're here.
Music City.
Yeah.
Congratulations to
Nashville
us.
racetrack. We
Yeah.
survived everything.
We survived everything. You enjoying it?
Absolutely lovely. Yeah.
It's been a great trip. It's been just 7 days of just adventure and seeing new places and meeting a lot of new people, and it went by so fast. It's kind of hard to believe. So everyone's saying their goodbyes and getting each other's addresses and phone numbers. One of the few things that you can take out of here that you're going to have in the long term is perhaps some new friends.
I may never do another one, and I'm happy that this one turned out so good.
It's been a great experience, and I can't wait to do it again.
Well, what I've gotten out of this trip is an appreciation for this fabulous country that we live in, and these are memories that I'll just have forever.
The Mustang continues to represent freedom of spirit and strength, and has inspired thousands of people over the last 40 years. As it gallops into its 5th decade, there is no doubt that it will continue to rule the roads for years to come as one of America's greatest legends.